Everyone, welcome back to 29 Days of Black Disabled History. It's February 18th, and the subject matter for today is disability history as it relates to marriage equality and the parental rights of disabled people. Our history makers today are Donna and Ricardo Thornton, who fought for the right to marry and have children as an interracial and intellectually disabled couple. Did you know that disabled people do not have marriage equality? And that it is legal in more than 30 states for the government to step in and take custody of your children if you have a disability. It's true. And disabled people are deemed too inadequate to be parents based on their disability alone. And that is an injustice and discrimination that is still legal to this day. Disabled people who are receiving government benefits cannot get married, or they risk losing their benefits. It's not fair. And it affirms that disability is a poverty trap. Let's get back to the story of Donna and Ricardo Thornton. They grew up as children at Forest Haven, which is a state-run institution, truly a prison for disabled children and adults in D.C., which is a few miles away from where I grew up, where the patients were tortured, beaten, whipped, deserted, and malnourished. While living in Forest Haven, Donna and Ricardo struck up a friendship and fought hard to withstand the abuse they faced at the hand of staff. What's unique about Ricardo's situation is his biological brother and sister also lived in Forest Haven, but they were never told that they were related. That's how diabolical and pathological the abuse residents who were classified as retarded endured at that facility. It was well known as one of the worst institutions where disabled people were housed, neglected, and it was overpopulated without adequate medical care, to the point many disabled children and adults died of preventable and infectious diseases. It's cruel how throughout history, the torture and mistreatment of disabled children and adults have been deemed as socially acceptable. It continues to this day, as Forest Haven is still open for tourists. I don't see the attraction and wanting to visit sites where people were killed and murdered. But since they were disabled, they weren't considered people. When Ricardo and Donna were permitted to live in the community, they were rejected, particularly Ricardo, who talks about how non-disabled people in the area that he lived in their community did not want them. They would make wild accusations about them, even accuse them of littering with garbage until they saw them picking it up. The social services didn't want him to have his own bank account, and that they believed he could not manage his own money. He and Donna worked together to adjust to life on the outside, which wasn't easy. Now, learning how to do things like read, shop on their own, manage their own money, and get jobs were things that they struggled to do, but they did it anyway. And they managed to make a good life for themselves. They wanted to get married. This was a little bit tricky given some of the legal limitations people considered wards of the state were allowed to do back in the 80s. Even though the head of social services would not permit them to get married, they decided to do it anyway. Invited all their friends and family. It was beautiful. The next obstacle was starting a family as a married couple with intellectual disabilities. As I mentioned above, there are still laws on the books where your child can be taken from you if you are disabled. So, they had a child, and his name is Ricky. He's a grown man now. He took college courses, he's employed, he's smart as a whip, and they have a granddaughter as well. They've accomplished some pretty cool things, including becoming public speakers and activists. Ricardo Thornton even held the Torch of Hope in Johannesburg with the late great Nelson Mandela, the former president of South Africa. The couple made a meaningful life for themselves in the face of tremendous adversity, and this was documented in a 2003 miniseries on CBS called Profoundly Normal, produced by Kirstie Alley. This film was terrible. I wouldn't recommend anybody see it. In interviews, Kirstie Alley, as a producer of the film, was incredibly ableist. Kirstie Alley's ableism was present in interviews when she remarked meeting Donna Thornton, and she's quoted as saying, "She's not someone that you really feel sorry for. She's feisty." Disabled people aren't asking for your sympathy by merely existing. That's why Kirstie Alley was not the right person to produce a story on disability. And it's another reason why Hollywood should hire disabled actors to play disabled people in movies. Hire disabled consultants, disabled writers, disabled content creators, so you could produce a product that is meaningful and not ableist and does not perpetuate stereotypes. Still, it doesn't make the story of Donna and Ricardo Thornton any less beautiful, because it shows what happens when you advocate for your rights as a person with a disability and make your voices heard and demand that you be treated as an equal to able-bodied and non-disabled people. They are now happily enjoying retirement and seeing their legacy live on. And people with intellectual disabilities, physical disabilities, followed in their footsteps and became champions of change.